Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into this amazing story from a film that holds a really profound secret. A secret about how we see the world and maybe more importantly, how we see ourselves. It's a story built around a plan that is so strange, so counterintuitive, it forces you to question everything you think you know about wisdom, about purity, and about how we grow. All right, let's get into it.
So at the heart of this story, you've got two main guys. On one side, there's the uncle. Everybody knows him as a master of romance, a man who is deeply familiar with the ways of the world. And on the other side, you have his nephew. He's described as being completely pure, someone who is near no women. So one's experienced, the other is sheltered. Seems like a simple contrast, right? Well, it's not that simple.
And this is where it gets really weird and really interesting. The uncle decides his pure nephew needs a partner. But instead of finding someone just as innocent, he picks a woman with a really complex worldly past. I mean, think about it. If you're a loving guardian, why would you do that? It seems to make no sense at all. And that contradiction, that's exactly where the wisdom is hiding.
So let's really break down this plan. Because trying to understand the uncle's bizarre-sounding choice is our first step to unlocking a much, much deeper truth about how real, meaningful growth actually happens.
You've got to understand, this was not a mistake. The uncle's plan was completely intentional. He is purposefully introducing his nephew, this young man who's been protected from everything, to a situation that is just filled with potential temptation and difficulty. So you have to ask yourself, why? What could he possibly be trying to accomplish with this?
To figure that out, we have to peel back the first layer, because what you see is definitely not what you get. The story brilliantly plays with our assumptions, forcing us to ask, who is the real master in this whole situation?
And bam! This is where everything we thought we knew gets turned completely upside down. The worldly view. The gossip from the housekeeper sees the uncle as this indulgent guy and the nephew as some pure spiritual genius. But the wise view, it shows us the complete opposite. The uncle is actually incredibly disciplined. And the nephew, well, he's pure, sure, but he's also totally inexperienced. He needs to be tested. Our first impression is dead wrong.
I love this metaphor from the film because it perfectly captures who the uncle really is. He is not a slave to worldly pleasures. He moves through life, he understands it completely, but nothing sticks to him. He remains unattached, in total control. I mean, think about it. A guy truly lost to indulgence couldn't run a massive business. No, this man is disciplined, he's law-abiding, and he is master of his own inner world.
So, okay, what about the nephew? Where does his famous purity even come from? Well, the source material explains it's from his practice of what's called the 10 good deeds. This just means his 6 senses are under control and he isn't driven by his desires. And look, that is an incredible foundation. It gives him an inner calm that makes him ready for what's next. But it's a starting point, not the finish line. And this gets to the absolute heart of it, right? The nephew's purity is passive. It exists because it's never really been challenged. But the uncle's mastery, that's active. It exists precisely because it has been tested over and over and over again. You see, real wisdom isn't found by hiding in a bubble. It's forged in the fire of real-world experience. Right. So for the nephew to go from that passive purity to an active mastery, he needs something, or someone. And that's where our third character, Nakpati, enters the picture. She's not just some side character. She is the essential ingredient, the catalyst for his entire transformation.
And listen, the uncle didn't just pick a random person. He picked the perfect one. Why her? Because she was a true match for his nephew, not in her level of purity, but in her potential. She was cultured, she had way more life experience, and she carried her own heavy worldly burdens. She wasn't an obstacle. She was what the Source calls a yun kre, a kind of destined connection, a perfect catalyst to really test the foundation of his purity. You can't grow without a challenge.
And she is incredibly wise herself. In fact, she's the one who gives us the key metaphor for this whole story. She says this. It's so profound. The idea is we just can't see our own flaws, our own blind spots, without something or someone to reflect them back at us. Okay, so now that all the pieces are on the board, let's see how it all plays out. Because the nephew's transformation, well, how people see it, that's what reveals the critical difference between just regular sight and true wisdom. So, fast forward a bit. After going through this trial, the nephew looks, well, he looks like a total wreck. His clean-cut, pure image, it's gone. He looks ragged, unkempt, completely changed on the outside. To the average person, it looks like he's totally fallen from grace. So the housekeeper, who kind of represents the everyday, surface-level way of looking at things, she takes one look at him and her conclusion is simple. She thinks he's lost his mind. This is the judgment of a world that only cares about appearance. But then, a person with real wisdom looks at the exact same guy and sees something completely different. They look right past the messy clothes and the wild hair, and they recognize the unmistakable signs of a massive inner breakthrough. They don't see a madman, they see a master. And that, right there, that is the essence of what this whole story is about. It has a name, Tio Kwangsa Tri, or subtle observing wisdom. It is the ability to see what's really going on, to see the spiritual progress beneath the worldly mess, or to see the inner weakness behind a perfectly polished exterior. It's the wisdom to see clearly. But here's the thing. This amazing wisdom, it's not just about being able to read other people correctly. Its most powerful use is actually for ourselves, when we learn to find the right mirrors for our own transformation. And that brings us right back to the mirror. There's this incredible subtle conversation where Nakpati basically tells the uncle, I need a new mirror. She's saying she recognizes her own flaws and needs a new guide. And he gets it instantly. He agrees to be that person for her, her teacher, her supervisor, her mirror. So what does it really mean to be a good mirror for someone? It's not just about pointing out what's wrong. It's an active partnership. A good mirror, first, shows you the parts of yourself you can't see. Second, it stays by your side while you do the hard work. Third, it helps you actually remove your flaws. And fourth, it guides your transformation. It's a profound commitment. And this, right here, is the big idea we need to walk away with. That subtle observing wisdom isn't just a passive skill of seeing things correctly. It is an active search. It's the wisdom to recognize and even seek out the people and the challenges that will act as our mirrors, reflecting our real selves back to us so that we can finally begin the real work of growth.
So I want to leave you with a question to think about. Look at your own life, the people, the challenges, your relationships. What are the mirrors being held up to you right now? And more importantly, do you have the courage and the wisdom to truly look at the reflection? Thanks for joining us on The Explainer.